Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Southampton Way podcast. This is episode 14. It's a slightly different episode, this episode, because we've got an extremely special guest. We haven't been on, obviously, since the Bournemouth game. We usually record on a Thursday, that's why. But we've pushed it back, especially to fit this in, not just because we were so bad against Newcastle. This week, me and Martin get a chance to sit down and pick the brains of Southampton's goal machine, Rickie Lambert, a man who has carried us in recent history from the depths in League One up to the Premier League and continued that rise in the Premier League up until his move to Liverpool. This is a really, really special episode. Wherever you're listening or watching, I hope that you get to take this all in, because we are going to be really getting into things with Rickie about what he feels the club have done to end up in this situation. Being almost a supporter himself still, he was at the Bournemouth game to watch it. So he still deeply cares about what happens at our football club, which is not only refreshing, but shows the sort of club that we were. So I think this is a real privilege to be able to hear this and get the true thoughts of, quite frankly, an icon of our football club. So wherever this is reaching you, whether you're listening, watching, please sit back, enjoy, because this is a very, very rare opportunity and we really, really hope you enjoy. If you do want to, you can head over and subscribe for more stuff like this. We did do one with Matt Letitia, and there will be more coming very, very soon. However, this one just feels extra special. If you do want to subscribe to our YouTube, head over, subscribe. You will be the first to see all of these videos. Thank you very, very much, and I hope you enjoy. Right, yes, hello everybody. So we are here, me and Martin are here with Southampton's goal machine, arguably our best number 7 ever. Sorry, Matt. And everyone will agree with me, the best way to spend £1 million ever, like second to none. The best £1 million anyone's ever spent. It's and Rickie Lambert is joining us. Rickie, thank you very, very much for doing this, mate. Everybody in this city, you will not find one person who, one, doesn't know your name, and two, will have a bad word to say. So thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, you're absolutely lovely on here, Rickie Lambert.
My pleasure, fellas. Nice one for inviting me on.
No, absolute legend. So we'll cover a few bits. I think we will start. I kind of want to brush over it because it's painful as fuck. But we'll start with Bournemouth. We'll do a little bit on Newcastle and how poor that was. But I mainly want to talk to you, Rickie, about what the club was like when you joined to when you left, and what you've seen of it personally since you've left, because a lot has gone on, obviously, in the past sort of 5 or 6 years. So, I mean, we'll start with the present day. Obviously, Bournemouth. I think you went to that match. It was pretty dismal. What we saw there. Did you see us? I mean, from seeing the starting 11, were you confident that we could have gone out, or as soon as that sort of first 15 minutes started, you sort of started to think, oh, this is very good?
I remember speaking to you, didn't I, saying this is a must win. It's a must win, and I was expecting to see that on the pitch. To be honest, mate, I was expecting to see people running through brick walls to try and stay in the Premier League. And you can say, like, for the club and for the fans, but for yourself, like you're on the brink of taking this club down. I was expecting a lot more, shall I say, a lot more, and it was a very disappointing performance.
Yeah, it was, especially after Arsenal, wasn't it? Because we were both pretty shocked at how we were playing, and the fight that we showed, and I thought the players were pretty pathetic, to be honest. And I was saying to Martin just before you joined us that I was really unimpressed that 3/4 of them just marched themselves down the tunnel and didn't even acknowledge the fact that they just served up an absolute pile of shite for the people who turned out that night. It was bloody windy, rainy, shocking.
Yeah. So, mate, listen, I've been there. When you get beat, it's not nice, but you still got to do it, mate. You've got to take the abuse, and they deserve the abuse at the minute. So, clap your hands, take the abuse, and then go down the tunnel. It's as simple as that.
2-minute job, innit? Martin, I was going to ask you quickly because you sit at the total opposite end to me. Did you get any reaction to that? The fact that because I sit in the Northern and I turn around and people were absolutely fucking spewing that the guys had just completely neglected even looking in anybody's direction. I think it was only Romeo Lavia, I think Maitland-Niles, and definitely Lianco who stayed and just was like, sorry, sort of thing. What did you get any reception to that at all, or not really?
Not really. I take my kids who end up sat in the family section, and it's ever so quiet. Most of the kids around us are on their iPhones playing football games or whatever they play on their phones. But I was alarmed at the performance, like Ricky said. I thought it was must win. We've had so many massive games where we had to win, and we've just frozen and bottled the game. I just think the most alarming thing is like the lack of identity, the lack of idea. The not playing an out-and-out striker. I find it really alarming. We spent a lot of money on Onuachu. We spoke about him on this podcast, Ricky, a lot. We've not seen him. They spent 18.5 million on Onuachu. They said at the board, when they did their fans board meeting, they brought everyone together and they said, well, we wanted to give the manager at the time, Nathan Jones, some tools to give them a chance of staying up. They knew they spent too much on young players in the summer, and they wanted to add a bit of experience, in the winter window. They obviously tried to do that, but they must have made an absolute balls of it because those tools have not been used. I'd like to get your opinion on it, Ricky.
I was
especially Onuachu.
I was shouting in the stand, get him on. I mean, I've been told his touch is not the best, but just get the ball up to him, get people round him. When it drops, play football there. Which I like you said, I didn't see any characteristics of how the team wanted to play. But they don't have to play. They don't have to play football. They haven't got time to be introducing playing out from the back and learning all. Get the ball up. He's 6'8", isn't he? He's 6'8". Get him up. Teach him how to header a ball. Because even if he can't header the ball, he'll cause a little bit of trouble for the defenders. Teach him how to win a header and get plays around him. Get the plays up nice and tight and win a tackle. That's it. I'm not trying to be over simplistic, but I was crying out for that on that game. Get him on, get the ball up top. I don't know. He must be shocking in training, but like you said, the recruitment has been very good at Southampton, but it seems like they've got it wrong at the worst possible time. Yeah. But I don't care how bad he is. He needed to come on. He needed to come on in that game.
Yeah, I agree. It's quite tough, isn't it? Because when you look at someone like Paul Onuachu, and I know you'll have the argument that he didn't, he hasn't scored at the top level in the Premier League, but you look at his record, he scores, or did at Genk. It was 1 every 2 in the Champions League, 1 every 2 in the Europa League, and he got something like 80 goals in 100 odd appearances. Like, his goal ratio was absurd. Yeah. So as a man who progressed through lower leagues up to Premier League yourself, to you went from the low and you did the very top. Do you think somebody's goal scoring ability should be judged based on sort of where they've played previous, or do you think if you're a goal, if you can find the net, you can find the net?
No. Obviously, it should be judged on the level of opposition who you're playing against. So if you score 100 goals in the Premier League, it's a lot different than scoring 100 goals in League One or League Two. That's for sure. But if you score 100 goals in League One or the Championship, you've got to be given a chance to see if you can do in the Premier League. And I don't mean a couple of games. He obviously can score. He's 6'8". We've got the best free set piece take in the world. I mean, it just something. It just does it seem so obvious, or
it beggars belief, doesn't it?
I was like, just get him on, teach him how to header a ball. Doesn't have to be the best footballer. When the ball bounces to him in the box, he'll score a goal, because that's what he's done all his career. He might not be able to do all the little things, build up play and little, but he can be taught that. I got taught at a late stage, so he can be taught that. But for immediate impact, use his size, use his presence, try and get the ball to drop to him in the box, and that's where he's going to get judged, whether he can score. So yeah, that was one of the main frustrations. That, like you said, there was no big strike. Imagine Adams around him, around the box, just feeding off of scraps. I'm not trying to, like I said, I'm not trying to be a coach. I'm at the early stages of being a coach. So, but it just frustrated me a little bit.
It's more than frustrated us, mate. And I totally agree, because as soon as I saw the lineup and I realised he wasn't in it, it was just like, did he not watch Bournemouth concede 2 goals from set pieces against West Ham the week before? Like, Bournemouth struggle from set pieces, and to leave a guy out of that stature is absolutely, it's just unreal. Obviously, we then went on to Newcastle, which they're on fire, so it's tough to judge. Do you think that first? I won't talk too much about the second half, because I think the triple sub absolutely was outrageous. It killed us, and they run away with it after that. But do you think that, I don't know whether you've watched too much of it, of that game itself, but the first half we went in with the lead. Do you, Ricky, and then you, Martin, do you think that the first half was down to us executing a fantastic game plan, or do you think that Newcastle took a while to warm into that game?
A bit of both. I thought it was an excellent first half. I watched the highlights, didn't watch the full game. It seemed like it worked perfect. Everything that you wanted. And then Newcastle were going to come out and they were going to be a lot stronger. That's for sure. Whether you change formation, change players, whatever, Newcastle were going to come out and be stronger. I just thought changing the plays that he did, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to be too critical. Just surprised me a little bit. But like I said, I think he was trying to obviously make sure he could get the points. I don't think it obviously didn't work. It might, do you know what? It might never. Nothing might have worked in that second half, because Newcastle are that good, and when they have their bursts of 15 minutes, then they can destroy anyone in this league.
Yeah.
But I mean, that first performance was that's what we needed throughout, or the last few months especially.
Do you think, just on that, just out of curiosity, because you've played a few Eddie Howe teams in your time, whether it be Bournemouth or Burnley, do you think that is what's happened there, especially in that second half? Do you think that's a coaching thing? Do you think Eddie Howe and Tyndall have just getting this absolutely spot on, or do you think it's sort of a mixture of, the players that they've got and stuff like that? Do you really sort of regard those guys as some top coaches?
I do. I see Eddie Howe as one of the best. I see him just up there with Pep and Klopp. Maybe not right in their bracket, but very, very close. And he's gaining pace all the time. So when Newcastle got him, I knew it was a match made in heaven. I think the attention to detail that he puts in is incredible. So yeah, like, he knows all the scenarios, all the different formations, all of the ways to impact the game, whether leading it or coming from behind. So, like I said, there might have been nothing Southampton could have done in that second half. I think Newcastle, a very, very strong team. And with Eddie out at the realm, I think they're only going to go strength to strength.
That's fair enough. I know sort of it's rare to get a British coach in the game at the top level who is a mainstay and stays there. I think he's there. He's going to be there a long time.
Yeah.
They're going to be thereabouts. We'll stick with coaches for a minute. I'll ask you, Martin. We've chatted about this a few times, mate, about Sellers and how quickly he was appointed as full-time manager. What would you, if you were Rasmus Ankerson for a day, God forbid, because, whatever. But if you were Rasmus Ankerson for a day right now, what would you do with regards to our coaching? Would you have to swallow it and say, this is it to the end of the season now? Or would you do what Leeds have done, for example, and do your best to go and get a relegation specialist? Because obviously today they've announced Big Sam to come in for the last 4. I know they're in a slightly better position than we are, but hey, never say never. What would you do?
It's too late now, I would say, for us. I think with the 16 games to go when he was appointed, Ruben Sellers, I think with the squad being so young, a young goalkeeper, a young back line, it was a young squad. It needed a leader. It needed someone with experience. If you want to stay in the Premier League, you needed to bring someone in that could really, really get the ship steady and get results, because there were 16 games ago. There was plenty of time to get it right. And even with, you go back to 9 games to go, Bournemouth were level on points with us. So it just shows by getting organised, getting a game plan together and maybe changing your style of play, because you can't continue to keep playing the same style. It's fouled for a long period of time. We needed to change. We needed to mix it up. Like Rickie said, you've got Onuachu. He's not going to get any rhythm by not playing. He done well at Chelsea away. He held the ball up quite well. He surprised me a little bit in that game. And I think it'd be good to get Rickie's thoughts in, but you need rhythm. Like these players, you need a bit of rhythm sometimes. If you don't get rhythm, how can you get going? But he's so stubborn with the way he wants to play, and it infuriates me as a fan, because it's needs must. And we just, I think the ball got it wrong. They did.
I just feel like they could have held fire on the contract or the decision to make it to the end of the season. You know what it's like when a manager hasn't been told he's getting it till the end of the season. The results, what some managers do in that meantime, are unbelievable. So I just said at the time, that's come too early. Just let him have 4 or 5 games while you're looking, and then if nothing is better, and he's deserved it, because he did have a good impact, but it was what 1 or 2 games, wasn't it?
Yeah, and everybody's gone to Chelsea and got a result since, haven't they? So you kind of look back at that result. Yeah. They're giving it on the back of the Chelsea result. Chelsea, we went to Leeds the next week, and it was a disaster. There was no intensity, a total drop.
They gave it to him too early. And this is not me saying I'm not a fan of him. Like whether he stays, he'll be able to get his ideas across more next year, without a doubt. But I just felt like this season you needed to revert to something very much more simple, a very much more 4-4-2 like kind of simplicity for the players. I watched them against Bournemouth, and it still looked like they don't know how to play. They're still trying to play out the Pep Guardiola way, and every team doesn't have to play that way. I know you have to try and keep the ball adjust, and he'll be able to get that next year if he's here. I just thought that the board gave him it too early. Just let him have the impact over a longer period.
Yeah, I think a lot of our boardroom decisions have been absolutely suicidal this year. So you go right back to the summer. It was quite clear that from early on in the season they didn't fancy Ralph as the manager. So to wait so close to that World Cup break and let him go rather than doing it early, if they really wanted him to go, they should have got rid of him in the summer. It was absolutely bizarre that he stayed on. Yeah. The Nathan Jones appointment come out of complete left field as well. I know at the time it was bizarre, right? But a lot of us were sort of like, well, let's give it a go. It can't be worse than what we had before. Turns out it was. But it's just, I'm starting to feel like my club is becoming a poison chalice, and it's fucking horrible because this has not been us. This has not been us for forever. So, I mean, what do you think with regards to some of the decisions? Were you behind the Ralph sacking? Did you think, oh, this has come a bit, maybe leave it on? I know you were quite, I read that you'd said like it was good to see someone like Nathan getting a chance because, again, young British coach. And I agreed, to be honest with you, at the time I really did. But, things ended how that ended. But what do you think overall on decisions throughout the season?
I came out publicly and backed Ralph, and I still stand by my decision. I think it was a mistake getting Ralph. I've heard a lot of fans have said that the fans were done with him, and I've heard the players were done with him, which surprises me even more, because I felt like under him, Saints were going to stay up, and he would have developed them players like he has done all the other younger players. I know it kind of frustrates some of the fans with the identity to the club while he was manager, but like I said, I thought the club would have stayed in the Premier League. You can't go through transitions like Southampton have and always be safe from a relegation fight. That was always coming. This season was that season. The fact that we got rid of Ralph, I think the appointment after has to be spot on, because no manager was getting Southampton out of a relegation fight this season. It was who's going to win that relegation fight. Does that make sense? And with Nathan, like I said, I back Nathan. I'll back any manager who goes into Southampton, because the last thing a manager needs from an ex-player coming out and saying, why have they gone for him for? I was generally intrigued to see how it goes, because I've heard a lot of things about Nathan, a lot of good things about Nathan. So I was intrigued to see how it went, and obviously it didn't. It hasn't gone well. It hasn't gone well. I still wish him all the best, and I think he'll go on and do well again. But we got it wrong. That was the big decision that we got wrong. So now we're two managers in, and I think it was obviously the right decision to get rid of Nathan at the time that they did. And then this decision becomes bigger. It needs to be an even bigger right decision. And like I said, I just feel like they should have went out, seen who's available, let sellers take the job for 4-5 games. Let them make sure that they've either found someone who's going to be the impact manager now, because it's not you don't need to be looking for a long-term manager at that time. This was back then. This is someone just to take the job who's specialist in keeping them in the Premier League, and then look and then sell us maybe for the long-term manager after they've been safe. That was probably what I was thinking, but they gave Sellers it after one job, and I was just hoping that he was going to create simplicity amongst the team, get the best out of the 6'8" striker who we've just brought in when we've got Ward-Prowse in the team, and it just hasn't happened. It just hasn't happened, and I don't even, which is harsh to say, but I don't even see the teams running through a brick wall for them, knowing that they're going down, which is the most frustrating thing to see.
Yes, it's horrendous. It is horrendous. And Martin, I'll let you come in after this, because I just wanted to pick up on something you said briefly there. So you mentioned that this has been coming, and everybody knows this has been coming. That's not an unknown. That's quite a common knowledge now, that this, you can't keep selling, resetting, and just be fine every year. It doesn't work like that. It's not sustainable. Did you, out of curiosity, when it was your time and you moved on, in that window, we lost a few key players, right? So was there a feeling amongst players at the club and ones who'd left in that year that this, did any of you sort of question why the club would decide to let you go in such a key period of time? I know yours was slightly different because it was your boyhood club and everything was perfect for that all the time. Everything was spot on for yours, right? But others like, for example, Adams at the time, Adam Lallana's. Was there a feeling amongst sort of certain players that what's happening right now could be on the horizon, or was it sort of like they're going to be fine because they're in safe hands?
No. None of them players left thinking I'm getting out of this Southampton because they're going to get relegated. No, not at all. I think a few of them seeing the change. I thought a lot of them were worried about Mauricio going and unsure of how the new regime under Katrina and Les Reed was going to go. I think that might have had something to do with it, but I don't think any of them said, get me out of here because Saints are going down. Not a chance. No. And to be fair, they went on and done better than what we done anyway. So Southampton went through golden years of getting everything right. But like what you've just said, that doesn't last forever. Eventually that runs out. And then when it does run out, you've got to grind through that season or the next season and be happy to do it. The Saints fans have got to be happy with that and be right behind the team. And they would have. I think they would have been behind the team this year. They just needed to see a little bit more effort.
Yeah, 100%. Again, Martin, if you've got anything, please hop in, mate, quickly. But I did.
He makes so much sense, by the way. He talks like one of us. It's brilliant, isn't it?
It's crazy. But no, I just wanted to ask about you said about the Katrina Reed regime, because that was actually quite a big part of our recent sort of history. The Les Reed and Katarina Liebert sort of, I don't say partnership, but yeah, regime. Was it a worry sort of when Cortese had left and Maurizio was going and did people sort of, do you think they looked at potential candidates? Because I think, as far as I remember, I mean, it's a while ago now, but Koeman was quite an obvious front runner for a while when he sort of come in and did you guys know who was going to be the manager, or was it that uncertainty that was like, okay, well, I know yours was different because boyhood club and absolutely respectable, but obviously locker room talk. Was there much talk about that, and did you get a lot of communication from the top, or was it quite, players are dealt with coaches and that's that, and then the top stuff is the top stuff?
Yeah, no, there was quite a lot of anxiety amongst the group because Nicola was gone by this time, by the end of the season, and Mauricio was out of contract, and there was a lot of anxiety between the players because the players loved Mauricio and they wanted him to sign. And the fact that he wasn't signing was, sending ripples throughout the team. This was before I moved to Liverpool. And when I moved, there was I had no call. I didn't hear Koeman's name mentioned. I'm not sure how long after I left Koeman's name started to start getting branded about. So I don't know what the players thought of Koeman before he came in. I don't know, to be honest. Yeah. I mean, I don't think they would have looked down on it as like, oh my God, this is a massive downgrade. I just feel like a lot of the players loved Mauricio, and they were getting interest from other teams while their manager is kind of given hints that he might be moving on. So I think that might have been a big deal of why so many players moved on.
How did it work with Mauricio? Because I know at the time the story is that we went out to Espanyol to try and recruit Philippe Coutinho, and came back with a new manager in Mauricio, because if I remember rightly, and again, it was a long time ago, so I can't remember who we played, but we seemed to, I think it was Chelsea, but I can't remember. We had quite a decent result under Nigel Adkins, and he seemed to start to sort of get to grips with the Premier League. And then all of a sudden he was cut out, and we'd had this new fella who doesn't speak any English. And it was like, God, this is radical. Like, this is crazy. Yeah. How did that feel in the dressing room? And was the language barrier ever a problem? Because he didn't speak any English in interviews, so I didn't know whether he knew much sort of to speak to you guys, or whether it's all through a translator. Or
he knew basic English at the time, very basic, but he could speak English. He knew what we were saying. Very clever man. But yeah, no, that whole area, that whole time, wow, I was raging. I was not happy at all that we got rid of Nigel. Like you said, we were all new to the Premier League. We were all getting accustomed to it, including Nigel. And then when it started to turn, we started to climb. So from bottom to second to bottom to third from bottom. And we're slowly, and knew, right, we've got it now. We've got to grips with it. We sorted out the defence. We're not as open as what we wanted to be, like we was in the Championship. So we're not getting punished as much. We're scoring goals. Yeah, we're only going one way now. And then he got sacked after coming back from 2 goals down at Chelsea away to draw 2-2, and then he got sacked. So I was exactly the same as you. What on earth have we done here? And then bringing in Mauricio again, I was like, I don't even know who this fella is. I've never heard of him. So I was raging. Nothing to do with Mauricio. It was more to the fact that I have worked my socks off to get to the Premier League. And I know for a fact under Nigel I was staying in this Premier League. And now it's being thrown out the window and this fella's coming in. I haven't got a clue who he is. And all my hopes and dreams are now with this fella. And that's the way I felt. And then about 3 days after I met him, all that went out the window, and I thought, I'm going on to something special here.
Yeah, I think it's good to talk about him, actually, isn't it, Maurizio? Because he's probably going to end up back in the Premier League next year at Chelsea. It'd be interesting to know what impact he made when he came in, because if you look at the parallels between the two teams now, Ricky, and you look at that team, I remember I watched pretty much every game under Maurizio. And you compare it to now, the players seem so fit. There seemed to be a sharpness, a snappiness about it. The levels just went up and up and up, didn't they? What went on?
He was so infectious from the second he came into the room, into the building, into the club. The whole club, anyone who come across him was just bursting with like love for him, with like encouragement and enthusiasm, excitement for the future. Every room was like that, and include like going all the way to the chefs, going to the chairman, going to the car park people. Everyone loved him. And then the attention to detail that he put on the training pitch was second to none. So his tactical side was the best I've ever come across, but his man management side was up there with one of the best I've come across as well. He genuinely wanted to know about you, generally cared about you. He generally wants to know how your wife, your kids were doing, and then he would constantly ask questions. So he constantly updated with how your personal life's going. And then, like I said, the fitness side was shocking to get used to. I hated it. That was the worst thing about it. So, yeah, so the way he used to do it, it's called the Superman syndrome. So to give you an analogy of how he introduces the Superman syndrome, we used to play, because we wasn't in Europe, we used to play mostly Saturday to Saturday, and we were out the cup, so it was perfect for him. But what he used to do is that whoever played on the Saturday, everyone would come in on the Monday, and then everyone being on the Monday, and we would do 12 horseshoes, so one corner flag all the way around to another corner flag in 45 seconds. So to most of the lads, that's a 3/4 pace. But to me, it was like full pelt. Not even getting in on 45 seconds on the last few. So I was like, this is ridiculous, this. After I've just played 90 minutes on the Saturday. It's like, what on earth is going on here? So I know all the lads were saying the same. So I said, I need to go and have a word with them. So all the lads said, yeah, go on, you go in. So it's who's coming in with me? So Josh Houlivel said, I'll come in. So anyway, we went into the office, and the way Mauricio works, there's 4 of them in the office, and you don't have a meeting with Mauricio, it's all 4 of them. So you sat in the middle of all 4 of them, Jesus, Mickey, all of them. So I've just gone, listen, boss, the lads have been speaking, and we just think the Mondays are too much. I think we think that you've got it wrong, and you just need to calm it down a little bit. And he's like, does everyone feel like this? And I was like, yeah, no, they all feel like it. They've sent me in to sort it. So he was like, no, I appreciate that, Ricky. I appreciate that, Ricky, and I'm grateful that you've come in and let me know how the lads feel. So I went back and I told the lads, sorted it. I've spoke to him. He's understandable. He's going to sort it. So the lads were made up. So we played anyway on the following Saturday. The Monday afterwards, we done 24 runs. 24 runs.
That's quality.
Yeah, instead of 12, we done 24.
Oh,
and I remember running on the second 12, laughing my head off, thinking, I know exactly what he's doing here. I know exactly. But you know what? Like I've said to other people, that was the moment he could have lost us. And instead of losing us, he got every single one of us on board. Yeah, and then from that moment on, we just took off like a rocket. It was brilliant.
Yeah, I mean that's exceptional, isn't it? I mean that was the main thing at least in the first sort of 4 or 5 weeks when because you can't really tell too much from tactics and stuff. Is 1, how do the players react, and 2, how fit are we? Because I mean, you could see that we'd taken another level because our pressing under Mauricio was relentless. We never gave anybody 2-3 touches at St Mary's. I mean, everybody was bang at it, and I don't really think we've seen anything like that since.
No, he said that is Southampton team, which was my team, would change the Premier League. He's come out and said that. I think it was in the last few years. He said my Southampton team changed the Premier League because if you've noticed since Klopp came in, Pep's come in, and they are obviously exactly the same as what Southampton was. And
I totally agree with that. And I'll just say, because I speak to a lot of people about football, he's dropped out. Fuck. I'll carry on for a sec, but I speak to lots and lots and lots of people about football, Martin. And the main thing I'll say when talking about old times is that a lot of teams in the league now, and I want to know what you think about this, but a lot of teams in the league now, I wonder sort of how much of an influence we may have had on that, i.e. your Brightons and your Brentfords and things like that, people who were in the league newer to us but saw the sort of impact that we had in the league. And people have short memories, don't they? And they only think about their club. But I genuinely do think that we at that time made waves in the Premier League and was to be able to come from this League One to Prem thing and be able to just smash it like that. I really do think a lot of teams took influence. What do you reckon?
Rickie's right in what he said. It was an incredible time at Southampton Football Club, but like the way that he did change the Premier League and the way that the team pressed. And do you remember at the time, Sky Sports Monday Night Football, Gary Neville was fairly new to it then, but they used to focus on Southampton a lot, and Maurizio's sides, and the way that we used to press and the style and the identity that we had. We had a clear identity, but he had everyone so fit and they were so organised. It wasn't just one player would press. Everybody would press and they wouldn't give anyone any time. You didn't have another side at the time in the Premier League doing it, did you? We were one of very few sides doing that. But yeah, Rickie's absolutely right. It was in what he says there. Well, it was it was so spoken about.
That's right, man. Yeah, we were just saying, Ricky, while you were sorting that out there, that I speak to a lot of people in football, and that I say that I genuinely believe teams like Brighton and Brentford would have taken inspiration from what we did when we came into the league, because obviously they're much newer to it than us, and they would have looked at the way that we did it especially in those early years in the Prem, like you say, under Maurizio and stuff, and thought, that's the way. That's how you're going to do it. And like you say, maybe not from the top end. Even so, even if people go, he's talking shit. Pep's done this for long. He's Klopp's done this. Whatever. I genuinely believe, and fans have short memories, but I do believe that that team that you were in really did make waves in Premier League and influence how teams tried to play when they came up.
I totally agree. The pundits didn't talk about us at all as much as they should have. They didn't appreciate what that team was about. They didn't have a clue. But the managers and the coaches and the especially the foreign players who were playing in the Premier League all appreciated that team. What was pressing, and like players from the Championship playing like that. It was brilliant to be a part of, and I totally agree with what Mauricio was saying. There was nothing like that in the Premier League. There was pressing, but there wasn't pressing like that.
No, it was relentless, wasn't it? And did you ever get an insight to, when you moved on to Liverpool? Did you ever get an insight from the coaches there or anyone above that as to sort of when they approached you, sort of like why they wanted to sign you specifically? Was it like, Rickie, we've seen the way you play in this side, and we really think that this could work here? Or was there other things that they sold it? I mean, it wouldn't have took a lot of selling your boy a club, but
no,
that sort of thing.
Like when they sign you, they don't really need to tell you what your attributes are. They kind of just say, everything's different, really. Like at Southampton, it was just like, we're signing you to score the goals for us. You're taking us up. That was it. Like, not you're going to play this way, or you're going to play with so and so, and that all came later. When they're signing you, it was like, we're signing you for you to score the goals to get us up the league. And I was like, yeah, okay. So when I joined Liverpool, that was like, yeah, you're coming in. All Brendan said is that you're going to be part. It's going to be me, Sturridge, Sanchez, who we were getting from Barcelona, and one other player.
Was it Mario at the time? Was it Balotelli?
No, Mario wasn't getting mentioned at this time.
Fabio Barini?
Might have been Fabio, yeah, Barini, yeah. It's going to be used for. So I was like, yeah, no, that's fine. He said, and I kind of, he didn't say like, you'll be sub or you'll be a backup, but that's the kind of message I got. And I accepted it, which I regret to this day. Do you know what I mean? I accepted it because it was Liverpool, and I'll force my way in there, and that's the way I fought. But I kind of already went from being so mentally strong to just like that, accepting something which I would never accept before. But I didn't accept it. In my head at the time, I was like, I'm going to force my way in it. I don't care who's in the squad anyway, so whatever. Yeah, but that's the kind of message I got across.
No, it's really interesting to hear. Did you before, because I do want to talk a little bit about when you joined, but when you joined Liverpool specifically, did going into the training ground and seeing how they do things and stuff, did that what did that feel like for you, being a supporter of that club as a boy? Was it like a dream, or was it like kind of, were you in work mode? I've got a job to do.
No, it was hard to be in that mode. It was overwhelming. So it was the whole year, the whole 2 years was. It was I can't even explain it. I've tried to explain, but I can't. It was just incredible. So getting into the Premier League, getting into England, getting to the World Cup, signing for Liverpool, it was like a story. So it was trying to take it all in and trying to ride the crest of the wave, but trying to keep to my principles and keep to what's got me there in the first place and what matters and stuff like that. But it was hard because obviously I grew up watching Liverpool and I was still a big supporter of them. Even when I was like playing at Southampton, I used to go and watch them. So it was a big deal. It was a big deal to say the least.
Oh, Martin, you can come in straight after this, and I do want to move on to when Rickie joined, ideally, because I want to talk about stuff like the lower leagues, partnerships, striker partnerships, talking about the coaches and stuff. But I did want to ask, because I want to key into it, sort of how a player feels, because I know part of me, if I was playing for another club and I had to go and play at St Mary's against Southampton, part of me would just feel like, oh, this isn't right. Like, I know it's tough until you're in it and you're a pro, but dreaming of it for so long as a kid, and then getting the chance to play there, but in a different shirt. How does that actually feel? Like going to Anfield wearing a different shirt. Did that feel odd, or was it?
Yeah, a little bit, but that is. I tell you when it changes, when you cross the white line and the whistle goes, that's when it changes. All the memories of, oh my God, it's Liverpool, just go out the window. And now it's like, I'm going to beat these. I'm going to smash into this player. And you don't even know you don't even care what shirt he's wearing. And then you just go into work mode then. Yeah, and then we beat them at Anfield. I think it was under Mauricio. I think that was the only point that they lost that season. So yeah, no, we went there with a plan to win, without a doubt. Yeah, and I went there with a plan to win in my head. Yeah.
It's quite an interesting one. Like I say, I've always thought about how it would feel to play against your boyhood club.
I tell you what, it wasn't when I crossed the white line, because the "You'll Never Walk Alone" song was on, which was a little bit which was a little bit hard to take, because I was trying to not look at the cop. I was like this, just looking round. Yeah, so that was. That was hard.
You done the "This Is Anfield," like, oh, I can't touch that right now. Like, out, like, oh, and then you're hearing that song, you're like, fuck. Like, that for me, I would have just been like, oh my God, like if it was the other way around. But yeah, that is an unbelievable, and it is, like you say, it is a story, and I think everybody you speak to, and when I bring it up to people, because it does still come into conversation, especially when England are playing, but people ask me what my favourite England memory is, and to be honest, throughout my entire childhood, England was shit. So your goal against Scotland was like, I nearly passed out from screaming. I feel like that just the way you got up and fucking headed that straight. Honestly, I think every single one of us just completely lost it.
That commentary as well from Martin Tyler as well. It was on Sky Sports. It lives with me now.
Mate, it's just, it gives you tingles thinking about it. So what did that feel like for you when that ball hit the net, or was it like you didn't even realise what happened until you were sort of celebrating?
No, I can remember it going towards the net. I remember connecting. I remember it going towards the net and thinking, that's it. And before it even hit the net, I'm running away. And then it was just an explosion of emotion that I'd never thought I would ever witness, more than the Southampton goal against Man City. It was just an explosion, which I almost took my top off. I'm so happy I never, because that would have been ruined. It wasn't ruined at all. But honestly, it was just a whirlwind of emotions. Just not just that moment. After the game, doing the interviews, going over to my family. Yeah, going back in the dressing room, like Wayne Rooney coming over, taking the top off me, going around, getting it signed by everyone. I've got it hanging up. It was just beyond a kid's wildest dream, let alone an adult's. When I was a kid, I used to dream of stuff like that, and I couldn't have dreamt of coming on at the game 2-2 against Scotland, absolutely jammed, packed, and then scoring the winner with my first touch. Do you know what I mean? It's mad when you think about it. Even my mates to this day, mates today say, did it happen? Did it happen? And it's like 9 years later, I think, or 10 years later. It's mad. It's
unreal. It's absolutely unreal. And yeah, like you can't write stories like that, because if you did, you'd be like, yeah, right, mate. Like, yes, we've heard all of them, we've done them. Like, but to think it genuinely happened is quite unbelievable. I'm conscious of taking up too much of your time because I will just talk to you for hours. But I do want to talk about a couple of the early days and relive a bit of that because a lot of us were there, you know, down in to be fair, in the depths. We were sort of just before you'd come in. We'd gone through a sort of Nigel Pearson era, and I thought that was okay. And then we'd moved on to Alan Pardew, who I believe was the manager when you signed. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what was it like? First of all, to work under Alan, because he was very good for us. He was a good manager. What was it like? And was it there as a pretty distinct difference between you know, being at Rovers and then coming to Saints on this £1 million deal, and did Alan Pardew have a distinct plan for you going forward, or was it like you just said, like you're going to bang the goals, simple as that?
I've said it before, but Pardew had the biggest influence on me in my career. Wasn't the best manager. He was one of the best managers I worked with, but he had the biggest influence on my career, bar none. I think it's safe to say the reason why I was in League Two and League One for so long was my unprofessionalism, my enjoyment of a beer, eating the wrong food. It was Pardew who changed all that. And he just loved, I could tell he loved me. So it just made me feel 10 foot tall. For instance, I was obviously overweight. I was still scoring the goals when I joined Southampton, but about a month in, he pulled me in, made me lift up my top and say like how fat I am. Yeah, basically, look at the size of your fucking belly there. You're an absolute disgrace. And I was like, wow, I've never been spoke to like this before in my life. And he goes, I want that belly gone. I want, like, you're not at Bristol Rovers now, yeah, or Rochdale, yeah, fucking Southampton. You need to sort that out. So yeah, went away. 6 weeks later, I've lost a stone. But in that time of working it off, I was knackered in the games. I was like doing double, triple sessions every day. And my performance went down, but he stuck with me. I knew he would never drop me. And then 6 weeks later, bang, like I felt the difference, and my career just went like a rocket. But I'll never forget the story of when he. Like, I lost all the weight and I put on the muscle. I was in like unbelievable shape, and we had a meeting, and we were playing Wimbledon in the semi-finals of the JPT. And he was like, "This fella here," and he put a picture of me. "This fella is going to get you promoted. If you get him the ball, if you give him the ball, he'll get you promoted." He said, "Look what he's done for you." And he showed me a picture of when I joined, and I was 16 stone. And then he showed them a picture of what I was then, which I was 14 and a half stone. No, just under 15 stone. And he said, "He's done that for you." He said, that's how much he loves you, and that's how much dedication that's how much dedication he's got to this club to get them promoted. What wasn't really is because he fucking embarrassed me and I had no choice. But the fact he put that on the video and made all the players watch it, and then said that, he said, "This player is going to get you promoted, just get him the ball." Like I said, from that moment on, I was like, nothing was going to stop me. Nothing was going to stop me. I was already a step ahead of everyone. I just went 2-3 steps ahead of everyone when I was just as fit as them.
It's amazing. And I'll touch on the JPT quickly, because that was the final was a day I'll never ever forget. Martin, I'm sure you were there as well, but like I just mate, that day start to finish is arguably the best day I've ever had as a Saints fan. It's right up there. And it's I don't want to say it's a low bar, but that day was incredible. What was it? And please excuse me for being uneducated on this. Was it your first experience of a final at Wembley, or had you been before, sort of in a playoff or something? Or?
So I went to the Millennium Stadium in the JPT with Bristol Rovers, and then I went to the Wembley Stadium in the playoffs with Bristol Rovers. So that was the second time I've been to Wembley when I got there with Southampton, which helped me in the game. It made me feel a lot more calmer. My nerves wasn't as much than the first time I played.
Taking that pen in front of the Carlisle fans.
Yeah.
Nice call.
Yeah, and do you know what? It's one of the best pens I've ever took, and the keeper almost saved it.
I was going to say he was tips, wasn't he? And do you know what? You watch that pen in slow motion, and do you know? I know it's a fucking pen and a half. It's not what your right foot was doing, but what your left foot was doing. It was like you almost just was gliding once you hit that ball, and it's like, fucking hell, that's a pen. Like, under pressure, that's a penalty. Like, wow.
I was relieved to see it hit the back of the net, and then I was trying to get to the fans because he was down the other end, because it was just a sea of red and white. It was incredible. I just wanted to be a part of it. I couldn't get anywhere near it because my players jumped on me. But it was an unbelievable day, mate. And like I said, I've got so many moments in my career that I thought that will never be beaten. That's the best day. That's the best moments of my career. And that was my first one. That was one of my first ones where I thought, wow, this is incredible. If I never play football again, that was incredible. That was unbelievable. But obviously what Saints gave me was memorable moments that overtook that.
It's just that day was quite special. And you mentioned the players there that you played with, and I did want to ask you a bit of a contentious question that you probably have had, and lots of players do get it, like, it's going to be impossible almost. But was there a player that you played with at your time with Saints that really sort of stood out for you as a footballer? I mean, aside from, it goes without saying, the best Brazilian that's ever played football, Gulli de Prado. Apart from him, who would have stood out?
Adam
for you?
Lallana.
Adam, yeah.
Adam, by far, he was incredible. Yeah, every time I got the ball, I looked for him. Where's Ads? And it didn't matter if he had two people on him, 3 people on him. He's getting the ball. Was that a natural progression partnership? Because it was so evident amongst fans, and in League One going on Championship, it was like it's the Lambert Lallana show, Lambert Lallana, and then we added a few other things into the mix, like when Ox came through, and it's like, oh, now we got this pacey little winger, and he's mustard, and like was that like a natural thing, or was that coached in sort of? Natural.
Yeah, was it? That's
yeah. I think that's just what good players do, mate. I think we were a step above League One when he was when he got relegated, and I was when I got signed. So when we came together, I was like, oh my God, this kid's unbelievable. Like the best player I've ever played with. Even at that young age, I was like, wow. So I was made up to have him in the team. So like I said, the combinations. I knew for a fact at first he used to check back, so it done me head in a little bit, but it didn't take me long to adjust to his style. So instead of making my run when he broke the line, I knew he would then take the player on again, because that's the way Ads does it. So I would wait until he checked back, and then I would make the run, and it just like I said, it just clicked straight away. So we had to improve. So I improved as we went up, but Ads improved as well. And then I improved again as we went up again. And then Ads had the biggest improvement when we went up to the Premier League. So it just shows you, the better players Ads had around him, he just enhanced quicker. So I wish I would have had the experience like Ads had at his age, but I came later, but I still progressed. I was just at a later age to be able to keep up to Ads, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Where Ads finally outgrew me, but I was just made up to be a part of that relationship with Ads for the 5 years. It was incredible. I've always said my best partnership, it's not a partnership, it was a trio, was me, Ads and J-Rod. That was the best year of me playing football. I didn't finish leading goal scorer. It was one of my lowest seasons of scoring goals. But just the combination of playing, knowing where they was, knowing that they knew what I loved, it was just brilliant time to play football.
Yeah, the combinations were always so good. And what was that about Adam Lallana? He'd take the ball and he'd have 2-3 players around him. And you see very few players that are happy to receive the ball when you've got 2 or 3 players around him. The only player I've seen at Southampton since that can do that is Romario Lavia this season. Just prepared to take the ball when someone's really tight and find a pass really quickly, you know?
Yeah. No, it was unbelievable. He used to leave it as late as possible. So you ping it into him. He would leave as late as possible, roll across, and at the very last moment, he would just put his foot on it and spin. And then he would just take about 2 or 3 out just with that little spin on the ball. It was incredible.
Master of a Cruyff term, wasn't he? He was unbelievable. Yeah. Adam Lallana makes Messi look shy, eh? What a player. what a guy. And I will let you go in a minute because you've absolutely given me more than I could have imagined, mate. But I want to ask you about sort of we moved obviously up through the leagues, League One. That promotion was amazing. The Championship season was sort of neck and neck all year, if I remember. It was between us and Reading, pretty much. If I remember rightly, that group was.
It was us and West Ham.
Oh, was it West Ham as well? Yeah.
Reading came from nowhere.
Yeah, just boom out of nowhere, wasn't it? But they was. I seem to remember quite an important game at St Mary's against Reading. But that group of players had changed slightly from the years before. I felt like so we bought in. Was it Billy Sharp? Was Billy Sharp coming for the Championship season? Right. What was it like? Because arguably for me, the top 3 EFL players of all time, you and Billy make up 2 of them. You and Billy Sharp are 2 of the top EFL players of all time, in my opinion. Did he come in and buy into it straight away and was like, this is it, we're going up? And did he have? Do you feel like he had plans to be a Premier League player? Because he didn't really get that. I think in the Prem, did he?
I felt sorry for him, mate. He should have had a go in the Premier League. He deserved it for what he did, especially in the Championship. I thought mine and his combination was brilliant. And even though that we were reverting to one striker up top, Billy Sharp would have definitely loved to have been on the bench and rotated without a doubt, and he deserved to get his time in the Premier League, because I know for a fact he would have scored goals and he would have pushed us on. But obviously signings were coming in from all over the world by this point, and they were quite ruthless, and we were bringing kids through as well. And that was one of the main things with the Southampton way, was that we have to bring the kids through. So. Yeah, it was brilliant playing with Billy. Like I said, it was just a natural relationship. We didn't have to be on the training pitch for hours each week. It just became natural. He knew my strengths, I knew his strengths, and we kind of bounced off each other. And we had David Connolly, Gooley to Prado. It was brilliant. I learned so much off all of them. Yeah,
I loved that Lee Barnard, David Connolly sort of
Lee Barnard.
Those two, mate. Lee Barnard was brilliant on his day.
He scored some important goals like unbelievable important goals.
You think about the players we've had who've sort of come and gone. You think about like the Lee Barnards, even someone like Jonathan Fort. Do you remember him?
Yeah,
who just come in out of nowhere, scored like that mad brace on his debut, and it's just like, what the fuck is going on? Like everything just seemed to work. It was just, it's just crazy. And how did you find people from the outside coming in? Not even foreign players as such, because we didn't really recruit too much abroad in the lower leagues. But like, how did you find players coming in? Did they sort of, was it seamless almost?
Brilliant. Do you know what? And this is what I meant by earlier, by Southampton need a core of players who love Southampton and appreciate the Southampton way, and get that back. Whether the British or wherever they come from, they've got to understand the Southampton way. Otherwise, get rid of them. You've got to have that core, so you can then bring in players from all over the world, because you've got that core of people. You will then, basically by your actions, show them how this club works, what's acceptable, what's not acceptable. And it was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. And the characters like Radi Jaidi, Papa Wago, it was brilliant. Gaston Ramirez. It was brilliant watching these standard of players coming in. And I was like, wow. I'm used to League Two, League One, so now I'm in the Championship, the Premier League, and I've got players coming to trying to take my place who are playing for Uruguay and other places, and yeah, it was
He come
incredible.
from Bologna, didn't he, Gaston? And he was Uruguay number 10.
I remember his first game. It was against Aston Villa, wasn't it? It was Aston Villa at home. I just thought this guy is going to be incredible, but he struggled. Did he struggle to adapt, Ricky? What was the situation? After that, he really struggled, didn't he?
Yeah. Do you know what? I think he was good. He was good, but he wasn't nowhere near as good as Adam. He didn't have Adam's ability. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, he's a much better player than that.
Yeah, even Jason Punchin.
Yeah,
Jason Punchin. I would say Jason Punchin's better than him. But he had glimpses of brilliance, but his all-round play was nowhere near as good as the other players. So he just couldn't knock one of them players out of the team. He could get a start here and there, and he would be an impact player, but the plays were just too good around him.
That's I think that couldn't have summed it up any better, because he did seem to get a bit lost at times. And I kind of felt for him in a way, because he was our big money signing at the time. This is our Premier League guy. There's
so much excitement around him at the time, wasn't there?
Yeah, this big foreign player coming in and from the Italian leagues and stuff. I was really excited, and it didn't quite work out that way. But I wanted to, because you mentioned him, and I absolutely adored the man, Papawago, when he was about.
Papawago, yeah.
What a guy! There was a couple on loan that season that were just brilliant. I thought Papawago, was it Michael Antonio played in the same team? Is that right?
Yeah.
What did you guys? Were you expecting them just to be a 1-year thing? Was that as the group, they know, like, these guys are on loan for a year, or did you kind of expect, like, if they did well, they come back? Because to be honest, as a fan, if not Wago, I was fully expecting to see Antonio back, because he was brilliant for us.
Yeah, no, it was like a lot of players come in and went, but when Antonio started being a consistent player for us, it was like, this kid's good. Obviously, we knew he was on loan, but yeah, it was kind of he could stay. He's good enough for us to go in for him and make this permanent. It was just whether he wanted to do it.
At the time he was on from.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. It was just whether he wanted to do it. But obviously he was a very ambitious person, boy himself, so he probably seen himself above Southampton at the time, because even though we were League One getting promoted in the Championship, they were Championship looking to get into the Premier League at the time.
See how that worked out, eh?
Yeah, but he was a great addition, and like I said, he really helped my game with his pace, stretching the game,
strong as well. If I remember, he's young, but he was strong and quick, and I just thought this guy's got it. I just wondered whether the loan dynamic was like, don't get too comfortable type thing, or whether you thought, this guy actually, he could, this could be a long term thing. Because like you said, a lot of them were of that team at the time. You're talking Kelvin, Riley Joady, Fonte, Hammond, you, Adam, everyone. There just seemed to be such a spine that was just
Morgan started ready as well.
Morgan as well, just to put everything on the line. Did that help the dynamic in a sense that was everybody always singing off the same hymn sheet, or was it sort of like, because a lot of teams you see now, some of them you see are really struggle to sort of let new players in if they have a real tight knit group, and I feel like that can be a detriment sometimes. But did you feel like that, or was it just like such a family sort of type situation?
No, it was like their personalities were encouraged, and the group, like I said, the core group would actually try and get their personalities out. Do you know what I mean? So we would all go out for meals, we would go out for nights out, we would get to know them personally, and it was brilliant. And like I said, I think there wasn't clicks. Obviously, Papawago, Gooley, Raddy, they kind of went out together, and they were out for their meals, but they always made sure that they came out with us as well. Do you know what I mean? It was never segregated. It was always together. But yeah, no, they definitely wasn't shy to show their personality. Not at all. And we had to tell them to shut up sometimes. Like,
Josh, don't you think what Rickie's saying? It kind of everything that he's talking about when I'm behind the scenes transpired and was on the field as well, because they looked a close knit, didn't they? A million miles away from what we've got in the football club at the moment. You had you guys. It just sounds like a brilliant time, because it's brilliant on the field as well.
No, it was, and like I said, Southampton can get back to that. They just need to now get a good core of players again together. When they go down, get a good core of players. British based, doesn't have to be British based, but get that Southampton way pumped back into the club. I know it's been there for a while, but that's what Southampton's about. It is about the academy. It's about youth, but it's about winning as well. Winning.
Yeah.
Rickie, how big is this summer for Southampton Football Club, do you feel, and the decisions that now have to be made?
Massive. Huge. I mean, the Championship has never, ever. It's like a runaway league in itself. The Premier League's a runaway league. It's like a Super League in itself. The Championship is a runaway league in itself. It's scary, to be honest. It's scary how competitive it is and how many teams are actually going to get promoted. And not how many teams are going to get promoted. They risk everything on getting promoted. They are risking everything. This is what's
going to need big commitment, aren't we? We're going to need big commitment from the players. Going to need an overhaul, you would think.
Yes.
Of the playing staff.
Get all the players out who don't want to be at the club. Get them out. Let's sell them. Let them go. Bring and I show what the club's about. This is Southampton. This is why you need to come to this club. The facilities is just as good as anyone else. The ambition. How many years have Southampton been in the Premier League since it started? Like, apart from that little stint what they had out, they've been constant. So whoever's in charge, that's their job now, to get this club back in the Premier League. So they've got to do everything in their power, which they will. But like you said, it's about getting the right people in the right places.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? I want to touch upon one final thing from me is that there was the managers' names being branded around at the moment, and one gentleman that you played under in Brendan Rodgers, he's been spoke about a lot down here the last couple of weeks. Do you think he'd be a good fit for Southampton Football Club?
Do you know what? I think he would. Well, would he go down to the championship? I'm not sure. I think his technical side is one of the best I've seen. I think he would get them playing in a way that Southampton is related to. He would get them attacking again, scoring goals. That would definitely be an unbelievable scalp if they got Brendan. Yeah, without a doubt. But like other managers, like if you show the right person at the right time, the project that you've got in. But so they need to start planning now. Hopefully they've already been planning. Hopefully they haven't. They still don't. They haven't put everything on Saint staying up. Hopefully, like they've always had the plan. Well, if we go down, we're going to do this. I'm sure they have. And so if they show managers that plan, I'm sure that they'll have a list of top managers waiting for it.
I'd hope so, wouldn't you? Especially for us. And I think those are encouraging words to end on, I feel like, for everyone. And yeah, Rickie, I cannot thank you enough for coming on, mate. It's been much needed for everyone in the fan base to get a voice of someone who's been in recent times and seen this whole thing unfold. So important for us to hear. So, mate, thank you. Honestly, thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, I don't think I've been on a better podcast than this. I've done loads over the years. I've absolutely thoroughly enjoyed it. If you look back at the last 20 years, there's two Southampton players that are spoken about down here, and it's yourself and Matt Letizia, and absolute legend. Absolute legend. Sir Rickie Lambert, as we call you down here.
I could talk about my Saints days forever, mate, honestly. Obviously, best time of my life, so yeah, I love talking about it. My kids don't want to hear about it no more, so.
Well, you are more than welcome. The floor is yours whenever. We would love to have you back again, mate.
It's been a pleasure, isn't it, Josh?
Absolute pleasure, yeah. Please do come again if you do get the chance. But yeah, I think that is, perfect place to end. Rickie Lambert, you're an absolute hero. Thank you so much for joining us. If you do want to subscribe to us, you will be the first to see every video we upload. And we are on all social medias, so it will be in all the descriptions. So yeah, Rickie, thank you so much, mate.
Nice one.
Cheers, guys. Thank you very much.
That's unbelievable.